Welcome back to HawgCast, the official podcast of the 442nd Fighter Wing, where we talk about what's happening in the wing, what the future holds, and we get to hear some of our members' stories directly from the proverbial horse's mouth. I'm Master Sergeant Bob Jennings, the NCOIC of Public Affairs, and I'm here with my boss, Major Shelley Ecklebe, the Public Affairs Officer, and our boss's boss, Brigadier General Steve Nasty Nestor. We are recording this episode on location in General Nestor's office, and it's a bit crowded in here, since today we're joined by almost the entire Bryant family, by which I mean almost the entire wing. The Bryants have been a part of this wing for decades and have made service to the KC Hogs and this great nation something of a family tradition. Today, we'll hear their stories about how they met, why they joined, and what the wing means to them. But before all that, it's...
Nasty time.
Cool. Well, I just got back from the flight line, and 8 jets just landed from Pease, Maine. So 8 of our 10 jets are back from Defender Europe. What an awesome trip. Shelley and I we were in Spain together for a bit, and I took a C-17 over to Greece, and so I got to spend a little bit of time in both places. What a cool trip, and I got some thanks to a lot of people that helped organize and plan that trip, to Captain Smith, Jake Smith, Vago, Hilkert, Southard from maintenance, Caleb Mitchell from maintenance, Beck from maintenance, the undershirt, and Jess Cable, the shirt and grease from maintenance, and then both Craig Burton and Sandra Finley, man, the amount of cargo and changes to our trips, those guys really worked their ass off on that. So kudos to them for that, and a good trip. We're going to get an MRT team out. We got an airplane stuck in the Azores with a refueling issue. We'll get those guys out there next week to fix it and send 2 pilots back to fly those back next week. But a good trip. I went to Randall Kennedy's retirement yesterday over at MVETS. Colonel Rick Mitchell retired him. 36 years in the 442nd. Kennedys are a big name. Everybody remembers Rodney Kennedy and his wife.
I was wondering if they're related. I used to work with Rodney when I was the LRS DO.
Yeah, Rodney and Shannon were there.
That's cool.
It was a good time. So good send-off for Randall. He's done an awesome job over in munitions, and they had some good stories about his career. Really good guy. Chris Barton from maintenance is going to retire, I think, in August. He slipped his to August. Another long-term crew chief here in the 303rd. So that's good stuff. Next, we've got CE. The Bryants they're going out the door to Aviano, I think, in a week or so. Do a 2-week DFT trip over to Aviano, and our FSS folks just went to Aviano and had a really good time. Talked to a bunch of those guys, filled in all kinds of different jobs in Aviano, from the post office to FSS to different things, for the ways the Air Force Reserve Airmen can help out other units. Future of the A-10 remains the same. We're going to do a flyby next Saturday for some congressmen and some local people, but not much has changed with that. I'm going to a Wing Commanders Conference in August, so hopefully I'll get more answers on future wing missions post A-10. But for now, we're still holding tight for about 4.5 more years of flying the A-10. I personally think that might slip to the right just a little bit, but we'll see. We're still fighting hard for a future fighter mission. And if you guys saw the Facebook video that Shelley posted that had... new Congressman Mark Alford, he had a congressional hearing with General CQ Brown, and really put him on the spot about the future of the 442nd and how it's not fair to the airmen that are working here that they don't have a future mission, and we need something on paper. I'll give you guys an example. We just lost 2 awesome maintenance commanders, in Major Goodwin and Major Cordez, as Air Reserve technicians. And we're trying to hire their replacements, and we can't because they're temp positions, right? Because other than MSG and ops and maintenance, all those positions, since we're supposed to sunset inside of 5 years, go to temp. So not a lot of people want to take a temp GS-12 or GS-13 with no TSP match, with no job security. So it's very challenging for us. Same thing with Captain Nate Welch's job in the FSS. We're having a hard time. It's GS-12. We haven't had anybody want to come in and take that job. So we're working on those things, and we talked a little bit also about the AGR hiring freeze, and we're going to work through that this summer. We still can hire some AGR folks, about 30 a month with AFRC, but a little bit embarrassing from my end, to tell you the truth, that we haven't managed the numbers of AGR hires, and we're promised people AGR jobs, and now we're having them wait 3 to 4 months. Hopefully we can get through that with some RPA and put people on man-days until they start their AGR tour, but we need to manage our AGR program a little better than we have. We just had a TNF interview this weekend. Some awesome candidates in the wing. I was actually impressed by all 5 of the folks that interviewed. A very competitive interview process. Jess Swanson and Chief Barian and Rio and I had the chance to really get to know these 5 individuals, but we chose from Chief Bryant's CE squadron. Is it Sandia Sanchez?
Yes, sir.
Tech Sergeant, I believe. Awesome gal. Really came across well. She's going to be really, that's the face of the unit for new people coming in from high school or from other units before they go to basic training. So she's going to be a really good person in that job. And the passion, the story that she told about her DTNF mentor before she went to basic and how she changed her life, got her ready for basic, and how she succeeded very well in basic, gave her confidence for her life, and she wants to do that for other people. So I think we're going to be very happy with that hire, and congrats to her on that job. All right. Also, we talked about job openings. We lost Randy Roberts, MSG commander, so we put that out for hire, the 2 maintenance commander positions, and then also a GS-12 position up in FSS. So looking for some hires on all that stuff. I'm looking at Shelley like...
Mine's probably going to be available soon, too.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Shelley just got a job with the VA. Maybe. And
couple.
Yeah, we'll see. We might lose her, but she's going to stay on as a TR, and maybe we'll convince her to be an LRS commander someday.
Go back
She's
to her
ready.
roots. Yeah.
Back to her roots as an LRO. Enough of that stuff. Let's get to the Bryants. You've heard about the Bryants, right, Shelley?
I have heard, yes. I'm like a new reservist, so I think it's like good that I'm kind of co-hosting this with you because, I hear about your guys' stories from the last 3 years that I've been here, but 3 years is such a small time when I hear stories like your family, like the Finleys, even, I re-enlisted Nikki Adams today, and she's been in 27 years. I re-enlisted her for 3. And she came into our unit because of her stepdad. And so, you hear stories like that, and honestly, they're pretty inspiring because I was one of those kids who came off of active duty, and it's nice to hear the legacy that you guys, that you guys have really built for our wing.
That's cool. I was telling, we were just BSing a little bit before we started about my dad was in the wing, and speaking of the Finleys, we were talking last night. Speaking of that, the ROA deal. Shout out to Tom Schmidt and the Chiefs for having the open bar last night at the club. It was a good time, a good show out. Even with Randall's retirement, we had a good crowd of folks there to enjoy a beverage together and just get to know each other a little bit better. But I was talking to the Bryants and the Finleys last night, and I didn't know that the Finleys got married in the wing conference room years ago.
I feel like our wing conference room should have a secondary name then dedicated.
Well, then they
to
told
them.
me that the reason they got married, he was deploying and they had a baby together, and I said, you didn't have the baby in the wing conference room or constantly.
Oh, boy.
So now every time I go into the wing conference room, it's going to be very strange for me now.
Yeah.
Thinking about the Finleys in there. So we'll see.
I appreciate the family ties.
Yeah, but that's a little
That's
too
a little
close to
much
home.
for me.
That's
I
a little
think,
much.
but good for them.
So the Bryants, we'll get to the Bryants now. The Bryants last night were telling me they got engaged at the Officers Club or the Combined Club years ago at a dining in where she was Angela was Madam Vice. We have Angela Cullen the second, Cullen the third, Lauren, and Morgan, right? And Morgan is his daughter-in-law, right? Cullen's wife, and they met in Warrensburg years ago. I won't tell the story about how old you were when you met Cullen.
Hey.
But Chief Bryant, to start out with you, Cullen, the second. Let's tell the story, and he even predates me. I thought I was a dinosaur. I got here in 94. He got here on active duty in 1986, and tell the story about how you hitchhiked to work the first day.
1986, enlisted, went down to Shepherd, BMT Shepherd, and I'm from Iowa. So I went back home for my leave after tech school and rented a minivan. So a single guy, 21 years old, driving a minivan down into Missouri. I just fit. Came on the base July 3rd. This was the ugliest base I'd ever been in my career so far. And that's overseas and everything. It's just all the steam pipes, and it was the mission before the B-2, and everything before the A-10s. And got on this base. It was so hot, July 3rd, 1986. And on July 4th, I had to take my rental vehicle, my minivan, to Columbia, Missouri and drop it off at the airport there. And I didn't know where I was going or anything. And got out there, dropped the van off, and didn't have a supervisor. Nobody reached out. I didn't have a support patent, nothing. So dropped the van off, and I hitchhiked from Columbia back to the Knob Noster right at the beginning of the town, and started walking back up to the base from 50 Highway. And I was about maybe a quarter mile or so, half mile out from the base, and guy stopped by in a truck and said, "Hey, where are you going, airman?" Knew I was airman, and I said, "I'm going to the base," and got in the truck. He gave me a ride, and it was a good ride, though. And we talked on the way in, and I told him just my story, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing or anything. I know I have a lodging room, and I went in there, and he was asking, "You don't have a sponsor or anything?" I said, I don't know anybody. And he was a heck of a good, he found out he was a master sergeant, great guy. He got me on base, and he started making phone calls. And it was shortly thereafter I had a lot of people giving me a lot of attention, good attention. And that's how I started my career. And I worked in the medical squad in the 509th.
You started in med.
Right. It wasn't 509th. What was it back in 86?
It was different. It was a missile wing.
Right. It was, yeah.
In fact, this building was the missile wing commander's building.
Oh, wow.
It's got like a old school, like the command post. It's all not bulletproof, but bomb proof and all that stuff from blast proof.
351st.
351st. So you're living in the van down by the river.
Oh, I wish I would have had my own minivan then. I would have even taken that. It was a heck of a start, but worked out great. I did get off the medical side because my bedside manner is not.
You don't appear to be a nurse, type of, like Nurse Falker or something like that. Yeah.
No, sir.
So how long were you in medical active duty?
6 years.
And then you got out of active duty in 92?
Right after Desert Storm. I was stationed up in McCord at the time, and my wife and I lived up there, my first wife. Lived up there and got off active duty, and I got a job as a load master for the reserve unit up there. And my wife at the time worked for Microsoft. She was doing something, and her job ended, and we were like, let's go back to Missouri. So I didn't take my reserve job. I came back to Missouri. I got a job working on military school, did some time with the Highway Patrol, and then finally came back in the reserve. Came in the reserves in January of 2001.
So you had how long a break did you have?
9.5 years.
Okay. All right, Angela. So were you active duty prior to?
Yes.
What year did you come in?
I joined in 1992.
92.
92. I came in active duty CE.
CE the whole. So you've been CE the whole time?
Other than after I was at MTI for a couple of years.
Looked like you could be an MTI.
Loved it.
You
did?
loved it?
I'm kidding.
I was so scared of you guys when I was a cadet. They brought the MTIs up when we were there, and they were the most terrifying
I
people
loved it.
ever.
It was awesome. It was awesome seeing the changes.
How many years did you do the MTI?
It was only 2.5 years because my father was murdered, and I came back here on a humanitarian to Whiteman, CE.
Were you from Missouri?
97. Yes, I'm from
What part?
Blue Springs. Went to Blue Springs High School.
So you came. Your mother. I won't ask how you got murdered, but you came back to help your mom out.
The family.
Family.
Yes. And I came here on a humanitarian and went from 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, to riding around in a van for 8 hours a day, and decided it wasn't for me anymore. Tried to go to the reserve side. But CE was undermanned at the time, active duty, so they wouldn't let me out. So I got out on a hardship, and then I came back. Almost not quite 2 years.
When did you join the
2000. I got out December 15th of 97, and came back to the 442nd January of 2000.
What made you jump back into the 442nd?
Missed it.
You did.
I missed it.
What'd you miss? The camaraderie, the family, the Air Force in general,
I
or
missed
what?
the Air Force. I missed the discipline and
Structure.
because I didn't join till I was 26.
Okay.
So I was older when I came in, and once I got into the 442nd, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Everything
You're
just.
welcome.
Did you guys meet before you were in the 442nd?
He joined after. He came in after I was in the 442nd.
So how did you guys met? While you were in? How did you guys meet? Tell me how you guys met.
He was actually
At church?
in my shop for a little bit.
Sure, to the conference room.
In the conference room. In the closet in the conference room.
I just came in the shop, I dazzled her, and then she ended up asking me out for to go to a
I didn't like
Chiefs
him
game.
at first.
You didn't?
No.
Oh.
Well, I really liked you, and this hurts. Anyway, she asked me out to go to a Chiefs game, and I couldn't turn that down. And I
Chiefs
wanted,
game, no.
Yeah. So,
What year was this?
That was in 2001.
End of 01.
Yeah,
Okay.
end of 01. October of 01.
Okay.
And we just hung out for a long time before we started dating.
Just hung out.
Just hung out.
Didn't call it dating, just hung out.
Just hung out.
And then started dating, and then tell me about the, I was at the club last night. Tell me about the dining in. So you're Madam Vice. Did you know that was coming, or what? No.
No clue.
And Cullen,
No
you
clue.
had to happen to have a ring in your mess
He
dress
was
that night?
gone.
No,
He was at tech school.
I was in tech school. I was down at Shepherd, and I came up for the weekend for the dining in or dining out, whatever it was.
So this was a whole enlisted dining, or the whole
No,
wing?
It was
a
everything.
wing.
We used to have
It
a
was a
wing
wing.
dining in.
Yes, we did.
Every year?
Yes.
We
Every
had
couple
a-
years.
4, 6, and 10, I think, is what it was.
Really?
And we skipped until this last.
We had in 5 too.
Okay.
We had one in 5
Okay. We don't know.
because I was Madam Vice again. I was Madam Vice twice here.
So I came back and I got a ring. As soon as I got back, I knew I was going to do it. I actually called one of my buddies who was a master sergeant over there in CE, and I said, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think?" He goes, "Oh my God, that'd be epic." So I went and got the ring, and during the dining out, I told my first sergeant, and Colonel Bilby at the time was the president of the dining,
Mess.
the mess, and I told him to, and he's like, "Okay." So my first sergeant called me out because I didn't stand up. I think we're a female coming to sit back down, and first sergeant called me out, and I went to the grog, and I refused to drink from the grog. I said, "No, I'm not going to drink this stuff." And Colonel Bilby was like, "Well, you have to. Why aren't you going to drink from it?" And I said, it just doesn't look good." And he goes, "Well, what are you going to do instead?" And then I walked around the table, the grog table, and got on a knee and pulled the ring out of my blues coat and proposed to Angela, and she, it was the prettiest shade of red. Never seen anybody so embarrassed.
Colonel Bilby had to ask me what my answer was because I couldn't speak.
No.
That's pretty cool.
He was about ready to
cute.
get carried out by the sergeant of arms. Because
It was-
nobody
yeah.
knew. I mean, he was disrupting
The whole thing.
the whole thing, and I was mortified. They knew we were dating, and I was like, "Oh my God, I can't."
So what year did you guys get married?
Same year, 3 months later.
2002 or 2001? 2004. So you dated
2004.
for a couple years.
You guys almost hit 20 years.
19 years
next year.
next month.
Wow. Congratulations.
Good.
Awesome.
Years.
Good. So Cullen the third, and Lauren, how old were you? Or I want to ask you how old were you all there? How old were you guys when they got married?
2004, so I was 12.
I just
You were
turned
6.
6.
12 and 6. Are you guys the only siblings?
No, we have a middle sister, Mariah. We have a sister that's 29. Her name's Mariah. But yeah, no, I'm the youngest. My brother's the oldest. But yeah, I was 6 and he was 12, so Mariah was
10.
10.
And somebody said Mariah might be interested in joining the unit.
We're so she keeps bringing it up.
We're hoping. Oh, that's cute.
It's,
All right.
You see, I think it's a pretty good thing.
It is. So let me ask you guys. So CE, your CE guys together. How many deployments did you guys do in CE together, apart, separately? One?
We did
One together.
One together, Iraq, 06, 07, and then
For how long?
that was
4 months.
The
4 months.
Yeah.
That's good.
How was that for you guys?
For me, that was really the first deployment that I remember my dad going on. I was in 2nd grade, and it was a little bit confusing for me at first because I was so young, so I didn't really understand, why he was leaving, but, growing up now, I see why, and it's a little bit easier. He had to kind of explain to me, because growing up, I was a swimmer, and he would explain it as you know how you go to practice after practice after practice? Well, how would you feel if you couldn't go to a swim meet? And he was like, well, for me, UTA weekends, that's practice, 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 and going overseas and deploying, that's my meet. That's me doing what I'm supposed to do. So that kind of put it in perspective for me, but it was just kind of figuring out, how do you explain it to a person in 2nd grade that, your dad's leaving. So it was hard, but I understood at the same time. it was also just harder because back then, you know, you didn't have the technology and all that stuff that you have now. And it was a phone call once a week that he made to our home phone. And we would all run to the kitchen and we each got, you know, a few minutes to talk to Dad once a week and email sometimes.
Email, yeah.
How about you, Colin? So you were 8th grade then?
Yeah, I was in 8th grade, so that was right at the start of the Pop Warner season. I remember you got to go to a few practices, but you're gone just long enough that I thought, now that Dad's gone, I'm going to try and find some of my own identity.
Oh, boy.
We both go by Colin, but I decided I want to be called Will. First name's William, so he came back and
Changed your name while he was gone?
I thought I wanted to, and no, that wasn't the case. Had nice, thick, curly afro going on.
Nice long hair.
Yeah, so
Now he's bald.
yeah, so
Day 2, he had a good haircut, and his name was Cullen.
yeah, no, it was a pretty quick change back, but it was yeah, I guess it was a little hard. I had that, and then had a couple of behavior things. Got sent to the principal's office, but
It's not my fault.
I feel like that's like
No, that-
normal middle school stuff, though, at the time, too.
oh yeah, no, I was living out my angst, so
Yeah. Good that you did it then.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, that was about it.
That stuff happens to me when I'm gone too. My wife called me last night. She's like, I caught your son, 16-year-old, making out with his girlfriend in the back of the car at the school parking lot yesterday when he was supposed to be at home. Always happens when I'm gone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, interesting.
We pulled a little bit of a prank on my dad whenever he was gone that first time, though, because so whenever he left, you know, I had super long hair, and then he gets an email one day, and it's a picture of me with a black eye covering half my face and my hair cut off real short, and he's just like, what? He didn't know how to respond.
Oh, it's
I ran
fake.
into a metal pole, accidentally. Yeah, but we just sent that picture, no words, just hair cut off, black eye
Did you
covering
cut your
half my
hair?
face.
Why'd you have to cut your hair?
Because I wanted to. We just didn't tell him.
It was a season of change.
So, what'd you do? Where were you in Iraq?
Kirkuk.
Kirkuk. No, you were. Yeah, we were there in 03. Kirkuk was pretty cool, I thought.
I like Kirkuk.
You went outside the wire and did some stuff, or mostly
Not on that one. That started doing that in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I have to say about the deployments, though, when they were younger, it was difficult leaving the kids when they were little. But honestly, I just got back from this last one. It is so much more difficult to tell the kids when they're pushing 30 years old or 28 or 25, hey guys, I got to go again. You know, and it is so much more difficult because we're so much more involved with each other's life now, you know, rather than just being little kids and they're relying on me for whatever's going on. Now it's a different kind of realization. Everybody knows, you know, and then I'm gone.
Where was your last deployment?
I was all over the Middle East. I started off with the deed. I went everywhere. Yes, sir.
6-month ACS deployment?
6 month.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I always tell this to the pilots because I was the same. First, they don't realize that there's other people in the wing besides ops and maintenance half the time. And secondly, they don't realize that they deploy for now some 6-month of ACS deployments. And third, that these CE guys like Hootie and the guys that I know, or I work with Hootie here, went to his awesome retirement, by the way. They go outside the wire. They're probably in much more danger than we are ever in an airplane over Afghanistan. So kudos to you guys for all that stuff. You guys do some putting it out there out in Afghanistan and places like that when you're out there trying to build FOBs and roads and doing stuff. And some of our best sorties are the worst days in the world for people in a convoy or on the ground, right? Because they're getting shot at and they're in a bad situation. And we're always chomping at the bit to help them, but we really don't want that to happen.
Right.
Yeah. So that's good. Angela, how about you? How many deployments have you done besides the Iraq?
I deployed when I was active duty to Saudi Arabia. 2, 3, 4.
4
times.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So total years, Cullen, how many you have in?
I just, for 30 years last month.
30 years total. How many in the 442nd?
22.
How about you, Angela?
I think I just hit 29, and I've been in the 442nd for 23 23.
23. Awesome. And Colin, how about you, Colin Jr.?
Whole career, 442nd, 12 years.
12 years. And you're POL?
Yes, sir.
And tell me about what you do.
So originally POL troop, and I just took sort of a promotion, so to speak. I'm the QA manager now over at LRS.
Have you been involved in, I know we sent some LRS troops down to Florida to do the FARP aircraft refueling stuff behind 130s. Have you been involved with any of that stuff in LRS at all?
I was about to, and then hopping over into this QA manager role.
Yeah.
The squadron saw it more fit that I stuck with doing the QA manager responsibilities since Senior Master Sergeant Brown is retiring.
Yeah.
So the handoff had to be pretty much right here.
You kind of took over for Leo?
I did.
Well, maybe you can be the next voice. You got a good voice. Maybe you can be the next voice of the.
I think so. Yeah, we can make that happen.
I'll do it. I don't care.
We want to see voiceovers on our videos.
All right. Hey, I don't want to leave Morgan out. So Morgan, first of all, what does Craig Burton listen to over in his office?
Oh, are you a log planner?
Yeah, she's a log planner.
Okay. Yeah.
Sandra's very bummed out, Sandra Finley, that you're coming off orders next week, right?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been on orders?
I've been on orders. Well, I've been with the 442nd for 2 years.
2 years?
Yes, and gosh, I've been on orders since February of 2022. So
some good trade. You think that was a good amount of time to figure out how to do your job over in log plans and stuff?
yes, sir. I've learned a lot, but I know there's still so much more to know.
That's
Always
yeah.
learning.
Log plans is so technical. I was an installation deployment officer at Barksdale when I was there, and I think that was my hardest job ever. And I will stand by that.
Really?
I was like a young lieutenant. Oh, yeah. I was a young lieutenant. We didn't have a civilian. And the amount of details like the log planners have to know about every system out there and all the training they do with UDMs is crazy. So kudos to you. I know it's a very tough job.
That's good. And well, Colin, you work at Honeywell too, right?
I do.
And so do you. Both Collins do. I was asking the other day, how many 442nd people do you think work at Honeywell?
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot.
So even like,
100?
Yeah.
oh, easy.
Probably
Easy.
more. Every single
I
one
heard
we've
today,
interviewed.
like if Chief asks you, recommend somebody to get hired, and let's say he's the one that got Morgan a job at Honeywell, he gets a $5,000 bonus to bring her on.
No, nothing crazy like that.
It's more on
The
the
largest-
senior level.
So the largest referral bonus that you'll get is for high demand jobs in engineering. Engineering, I think they do up to $1,500, but the standard has been for the most part somewhere in the ballpark of about $500.
Okay.
For a referral bonus.
Oh, it's something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we're always kicking around like. I don't like losing, and this is good data for me when I go to conferences and talk to General Radcliffe, General Healy. Hey, we're losing a lot of people. Part of the reason is, same with the guard guys I talked to today when I went over for my SAP clearance, is they don't get TRICARE as dual status folks, it's arts. And they're like,
Correct.
well, I'll go to Honeywell and I'll be a TR, I'll get TRICARE Reserve Select and stay in the unit. And I'm getting more money, and in my opinion, our pay is lacking compared to the Guard and to places like Honeywell. So to me, that's some things we can improve in our wing to help retain and keep people in it. So, but congrats on your job. So what made you met Colin there at, did you bag his groceries over there at the place? You
Yes,
did?
sir. Yep.
You both worked together there.
Yep, he was in the deli department, and I was on the front end just bagging people's groceries and carrying them out to their cars.
Where?
Wood Supermarket, south end of town.
Oh, was that what you guys were talking about before?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
They both worked at Wood Supermarket in
Yeah,
Harrisburg.
before it closed. Okay.
Yeah. How long have you guys been married?
3 years here in a couple of weeks.
Nice.
Oh, cool. And you're going to work at Honeywell, and then you're going to be a TR over here.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Awesome. How do you like? First of all, how do you like working here? And then secondly, was it like a precursor to get married to the Bryants that you had to join the 442nd?
It totally is.
Was that like a prenup agreement?
No, it's something I've always wanted to do anyway. And before I joined, I was doing landscaping and stuff like that. And I got kind of burned out on that. And I was like, now's a good time to just do what I've always wanted to do. And so I joined.
Where are you from originally?
Chilhowie, Missouri.
Yeah.
Yep. Little small town.
So do you think they influenced you in a
Oh, for
way to
sure.
join, or was that how you heard about our wing?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Like when you, Colin and Lauren, when you guys were young, did you ever come out to like 442nd of like air shows or events or different things?
Family Day.
Family Day?
That was a huge one. And then sometimes it was just weekend with Dad. So we would come out here and hanging out in the squadron and got to see tradition and a lot of the things that have been kind of the core of our family culture.
He was called Little Shirt when I was there. When I was a first sergeant in LRS.
Onesie was another one.
Yeah,
What was
Colonel.
that?
Were you kind of bossy?
No, I
was first sergeant in
And
LRS.
then I was a first sergeant in CE.
Yeah.
So they called him Little Shirt? That's
Yeah.
cute.
You guys were both first shirts.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
She's been kicked out of our squadron a couple times.
You guys can't work for each other, right? Yeah, that's
So-
complicated.
Then we did the first sergeant thing and then the chief thing, and she keeps on circling back, and then I'm like, someone's got to go.
Someone's got to
Sorry.
go.
That's cool. Lauren, how long,
Usually me.
how long have you been in the 442nd?
About 2 years.
About the same as Morgan. Did you and Morgan go to basic together?
We didn't. She left right before me, so we kind of decided around the same time that we wanted to go together. It was kind of like, wait, you're thinking about it too? Wait, oh, what are you? Oh, how is this going to work out? And then we went to the recruiter together, and then her paperwork just kind of went through faster, and she went a little bit before me, which was nice because I was able to kind of pick her brain a little bit.
Yeah.
About like, oh, you already went to MEPS. Like, what do? You know, oh, you already went to basic. Although she did write letters to Cullen and said like in them, oh, give Lauren this advice. And he told me that there was advice written, but he said I had to figure it out on my own, so he didn't tell me the advice.
Spoken like a true brother.
the one thing that makes me mad, I told you to be chow runner. You didn't go.
You didn't do that?
No, I wanted to go and kind of stay a little bit in the background, and then they told me one day, they called me in the office and was like, oh, you're going to be element leader. And I was like, okay, this will last, 4 days. And then that was like the second weekend, and it lasted until graduation.
Who was your DTNF coordinator before you went?
Master Sergeant Boyd, but now it's Master Sergeant
Jess
Swanson.
Swanson was both yours? Yeah. She's
Yeah, we were in it together.
she's leaving that job in a couple of weeks, and she's going to be the new TAP assistant in Airmen and Family Readiness. She's done a good job with that. So yeah, that's good. So did you feel prepared when you went down there?
I did. Honestly, my flight had a bit more reservists, so we were all a little bit more prepared just because a lot of us did do the DNTF flight, or DTNF flight. So, whenever you get there, they give you this sheet and they're like, memorize all this stuff. And I already had half the sheet memorized, so I was like, I'm going to be fine. But yeah, it was a really good experience all in total. And I'm really glad that, growing up and seeing, my dad and Angela and then my brother, it just showed I respected them so much for it. And it was kind of like, I wanted to do that growing up. I, wanted to swim for the Air Force Academy. And
I did that.
then eventually, I went to Mizzou. But, yep, I wanted to swim for the Air Force Academy. And that was my dream whenever I was in elementary school. Wasn't that great of a swimmer, though, so it didn't work out.
How are you enjoying the command post?
I enjoy it a lot. The
Some
people
characters down
is-
there.
I think I might add to that character a little bit, but no, it's a big family down there, and a lot of us are in Booster Club, and it's really cool to every single month come in, and it's like pick up right where we left off, and I love it.
Yeah, that's cool. She was telling us how hot it was in the truck, Mandy Speaker's truck. She was helping with
Yeah, she's been helping with
the
that.
Storks
Yeah,
and Amber Aarons and a bunch of people from the command post. If you ever want to eat, go to the command post because they usually have a lot of food in there.
It really is it's like the glue that holds the fighter wing staff together.
It is.
I think so.
Yeah, it's good. Sabrina and the crew down there. We lost Val, but Chevy Ork's still down there. Tell me what's a Thanksgiving like at the Bryants' house?
Loud.
What goes on there? Who cooks the turkey?
That's what I'm trying to get at.
We
not a
we
good-
decided many years ago that we weren't traditional turkey people.
Okay.
So every year somebody picks something that they want for our dinner for that year. So we have tacos or steak or whatever. We have the other traditional stuff, but we're just not turkey.
Somebody rotates cooking it every year.
No.
No, you cook it.
buy or grill or.
Yeah.
Ever since I did a really good looking turkey, it was nice and crispy on the outside, looked beautiful, but raw on the inside. We were like, well, that's sad. I'm not.
It was like Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase.
It was bad.
Well, usually on Thanksgiving, though, Angela's a big decorator, and she can never wait to decorate for Halloween or Christmas. And as soon as Halloween is done, she's decorating for Christmas. So usually we eat Thanksgiving on Christmas plates.
Yeah.
It's, just how it is.
And you're the cook? It sounds like we got some looks. I know our listeners can't hear us, but Angela was smiling because it sounded like you were the cook.
I love it.
That's great. That's great for you.
I love cooking. I'll still cook. I can't cook for just two of us. Mm-hmm. So the kids are always, hey, I made a pan of burritos, and they're like, oh God.
That's great. You guys need to take it home and
so I take food to them, to our parents, my mom and his mom, and I like cooking. So they know it. We've perfected a few things. My mashed potatoes are.
She knows she's not getting the Tupperware back, though.
Yeah, no, I buy Tupperware by the to-go stuff. Oh,
Never comes back.
Never comes back. So I have
Nice
an entire
donation.
cabinet. That's all it is.
That's
For
funny.
leftovers for them.
Yeah, just
I
those
think,
rectangular meal prep containers.
I think the best Thanksgiving, though, was the year that we gave the lordship title to my dad.
Oh, that was a good one.
Really?
Right.
And he knighted the cheesecake. Because
Really?
we gave him the lordship title, and because he was going on deployment, so
Couldn't give him a
we couldn't give it to him
tangible
at Christmas, and so we gave it to him at Thanksgiving. And he disappears for a second and comes back out with this giant sword out of nowhere that we didn't even know he had, and he knighted the cheesecake.
I've been waiting for that moment. Had
That's-
that sword for a long time.
That's funny. So, I'll start with you, Angela. What 20-something years, 23 years in the 442nd? What can you tell people out there that are in the 442nd or thinking about joining, or what have you gotten from being in this organization for that long?
Family. I mean, everybody takes care of everybody. I went to Moody for 3 years with an IMA position 13 years ago.
Okay.
And nothing compared to being here. And I come back and keep coming back because, I can't stay in the CE, so I find other positions that I can fill, and everybody accepts you no matter what you're doing. I was at the 303rd as, what was my job called? Career advisor. Career advisor. It wasn't a lot of career advising, with pilots.
No, they need a lot of career.
Yeah, they do.
But, they accepted me. I came from a whole different world. For us, seeing that side of it, I was always going home and going, oh my God, you wouldn't believe this. I learned so much over there that I didn't know about that side. And everybody just takes you in, no matter where you are. I've been in security forces, LRS, CE. Now I'm with the 509th, and there's just so much to learn, and everybody accepts you here, and they do whatever they can. Even though I'm a chief, my husband was deployed, I got calls on a regular basis. How you doing, Chief? How you doing? You need anything?
Good.
Oh, I'm good. Are you doing all right? It's awesome. I wouldn't change it for anything. And I'm so excited that the kids, got to see it and come in, and it makes him, he just beams, We could tell everybody, yeah, our whole family's, and they think that's really cool.
It is really
It's
cool.
nice.
Yeah.
That is cool.
There's who's the trying to think of the other guy, used to be QA on maintenance.
The Southards?
Not the Southards. I had breakfast with the three Southard brothers. I'd like to talk to them sometime on this.
Bain?
O'Connor, Rich O'Connor in maintenance. There's three O'Connors in the unit as well. His daughter and two sons, I believe. Rich used to be QA at maintenance. We're here forever, right? We were deployed to Iraq together and several places. Same kind of story. It's a lot. Like I told you guys, my dad was in this unit for a couple of years. And then, like General Mackey's son's flying here, General Borgen's son's a pilot, just the Southards, lots of different people in the organization that come from the same family.
A lot of when we were younger, and when I first came in, we've seen a lot of the old guys, their families as well. Chief McDonough's niece, He was one of our chiefs over there, and his niece and his nephew
Yeah.
are in, and several others. And it's like you see them, and they're like master sergeants already.
Crazy.
And it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm the old person, you know? We used to look at everybody as the old.
And tell the CE folks, Emily invited me over last UTA for, you guys had a little beer call in your bar.
Yes,
and I had to go to Hootie's retirement in Sedalia, so I couldn't make it. But, last night at the O Club, Chief Bryant that was a pretty good comment that he made. He goes, a lot of people always talk about the good old days and how ops and maintenance used to be great. I thought ops and maintenance were a lot of fun together in Greece and Spain.
Yeah,
and we had a good
we had a
time.
blast.
And he said, well, look around us right now. We're all having some beers and having a good time. Let's make our own memories instead of just saying, hey, remember how it used to be, right? And we can, not that we need to get back to somewhere, but we can still keep doing the same thing that we did the previous 20, 30 years together.
I think the thing we're trying to get back to is pre-COVID.
Yes.
Because that's when the club was open on Saturdays, was pre-COVID, and then as soon as COVID hit, everything just started shutting down, and we found ourselves separating in a lot of ways. Even in our squadron, people get done, have their mask, and go out and get in their vehicle, and trying to draw everybody back in. That's what I liked that last night.
That was
I like
good.
seeing more, and the more we do stuff like that.
I think we're going to do it. We talked to Tom Schmidt today. We're going to try to do that 8 times a year, almost every UT that we're all together, and do it every Saturday at 1600, and just have a. We don't want people drinking and driving and all that stuff. But if you're standing on base, you can have a few. If you just want to have a water, but it's a good way to get to know. You guys talked about, and all the people I interviewed this weekend for the DTNF flight, they all have the same kind of story. They love their job, but they want to get out in the wing and learn other things, right? And broaden themselves, whether it's working in XP like Gonzo and Mitchell, and like those guys are working in IG or working in Yellow Ribbon or DTNF or working in for me down here or wherever. It helps you learn other people's jobs in the wing and what they do in ops, maintenance, LRS, CE, security forces, FSS, command post. So it's a good way to meet people.
The 509th, you've probably gone to it. They have Boston. Do they still do Boston Buddy?
Boston Buddy.
Yeah, and that thing was like hugely popular.
Mm-hmm. Wednesdays.
It was Wednesdays, yeah, and at like 4:00, and they would come up to me and be like, "Hey, you're going to Boston Buddy?" And I was like, "Oh, sure."
What is that?
It's just like the whole thing would be like if I was, I was the director of operations in LRS, but like some airman would come up to me and they'd be like, "Hey, let's go grab a drink," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." So yeah, and then you'd have all these like younger airmen with like senior NCOs, officers, like just everybody would push the club, and it was hugely popular. Like the club parking lot would be packed.
Still is. I still see that when I'm down here during the week. I'm like, that is just awesome.
It is, and it was awesome, or it was awesome when I was there too. So it almost sounds like we're trying to go back to that type of thing on a Saturday.
That'd be good.
So it was popular here. It does well.
I was on C-17 from Spain to Greece, and I grabbed the 2 youngest people from our unit, and I'm like, hey, these guys are going to let you sit up in the cockpit. So they sat up there in the cockpit the whole flight. They're looking at Italy and the Med, and they're like, this is really cool. And the one guy was like, I'd like to do this someday. And 2 of the pilots were prior enlisted, and kind of telling him how to do that. I sent an email out today to everybody in the wing about the Air Force Reserve command-sponsored UPT program. I got 2 or 3 responses already back. It's amazing, maybe a venue like this, I know email doesn't always work, or Air Force Connect app, but how to reach people and give them opportunities within the wing, whether it's education or serving airmen, or how to be a first shirt, or how to be a chief, or how to be the DTNF coordinator. I think the more that we communicate those opportunities to people, the better we can help people grow and become the best of themselves, right? And that's kind of what, as chiefs and my job and your jobs down the road, that's what we're here to do, right? If you make people feel like they're being taken care of, they will work their ass off for you because they know that you care, right? Just seeing that from watching other people.
Yeah, and a big kudos to the chiefs here, because I think it must have been SOS or something, but General Welsh was talking a lot about recruiting and how our numbers were down. I think the video is like viral on YouTube or something. But he kind of like challenges all of us to like tell our stories. To your point, like those guys that you took up into the cockpit probably had no idea they're going to talk to like some pilot hopefuls and vice versa, and that they were going to be able to relate to them on a manner that like you cannot relate to them and I couldn't. But it's always at like that little spark, and that's kind of what you want to ignite. So I know a big push with General Nestor and myself is we're really trying to encourage people to get out there, tell their stories, relate to other airmen. Like I can talk from like a female officer perspective. But aside from that, my scope is kind of limited. So that's just like really cool that you guys have been such a good influence on your children. I know, that's crazy. I hope my kids want to go into the Air Force.
So do I.
That's cool.
I think it's a great career.
Yeah.
That's one of the best speeches I've ever seen.
Yes, that's amazing.
General Welsh's speech at the Air Force Academy, if you
there's
Google
that
it.
one,
And he just puts pictures up of airmen all over. He was the USAFE commander at the time. He's speaking to the Air Force Academy cadets. And he probably went through 15 different people. I showed it at a pre-UTA staff meeting one time about a guy that he had met in Korea that was his crew chief that had tats all over his body. And he knew him as his crew chief, but he didn't know him, right? And he went back to his office. He was the wing commander. And a tech sergeant came up to his office and said, "Sir, you got to know something about Smitty. He's going to lose custody of his kid if he doesn't get back to Arizona in the next 48 hours. His wife was a drug addict, and he was in Korea, and he needed to get an assignment to Arizona in 48 hours or he was going to lose custody of his daughter." And the wing commander asked himself, like, I know this kid. I've seen him. He's crew chief. But I didn't know his story, right? And he got him the assignment. He made it happen. And like 2 years later, a Christmas card came from this guy with a picture of the little girl and Smitty. And he said, "You saved my daughter and my relationship because you cared." But he goes, "That wasn't me. That was the tech sergeant." So he's like, if you don't know your people's story, then you can't lead them. That's basically what he was telling the Air Force Academy cadets. So that was good. It was good. All right. Well, Lauren, Morgan, Cullen, and Angela, thanks for joining us. It's awesome just to get to know your story a little bit better. And hopefully the rest of the wing will get to know it when they see somebody with the name Bryant walking around. They go, "Hey, you guys are part of the Bryant clan, right?"
I wondered that when I saw Lauren at the command post. I was like, I wonder if she's related to the two chiefs. That was immediately the first thing that went through my mind. And I think I came up and asked you that. I was like,
I'm pretty sure you did.
yeah, I was like,
yep.
are you related to them?
They were known before they even joined, because he was down here all the time with us before, and everybody knew him.
That's awesome.
Well, that's awesome.
I gotta take Lauren to Italy with us.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Sergeant Blandron was supposed to go too, but she can't. So Lauren actually asked me last weekend, "Dad, can I change my name tapes and don't tell anybody I'm your daughter?" And I'm like,
Dye my hair.
"Lauren, you've met everybody.
Everybody knows you.
Yeah, everybody at CE already knows you."
It's funny because it's not it's a pretty common name, I would think. But yeah, I mean,
Troy, we need to get a TDY where they can all go on the same trip.
sir, I think you can make that happen. Aren't we going to do that?
Weren't you guys supposed to go to Italy at the same time?
Yeah.
We are in September.
Not
But at the same time.
Oh, we initially?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
But
Are you guys going together in September?
We are.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
Man,
And-
Aviano must love us.
Aviano's a popular place for our wing, and it's funny because Colonel Orrick and I, when we said we were going to Europe, we're like, we got to go to Aviano because he was based there. I did a lot of tours there as a reservist, and we didn't quite make it. Maybe I'll need to go over there in September with the Alarisk guys for a quick
Maybe
visit.
I'll be over there too then.
Yeah.
Is that foreshadowing?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have a different job. I'm kidding. We're not going to put that
Probably
in
need
there.
a CE chief over there too.
All right. Hey, well, thanks, guys, for coming in, and thanks for what you do for this wing and the years of service to the 442nd and the Air Force and the Air Force Reserves. I appreciate it, and you raised some good kids.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's inspiring, that's for sure.
All right. Thanks.
Yes.